Jesus already came to the earth once, during the period of the Roman Empire. But did you know there will be a second coming as well? The Bible tells a story from the beginning of the earth to the end of the world. No other book covers that much time. The beginning of the world wasn't seen by anyone, so no one can say exactly how it started. But the Bible tells us how things will end, which is something special. God told us about the future not just to satisfy our curiosity. He did it so we'd be ready and not caught off guard or confused when the time comes. It's good to know that Jesus shared with us what's going to happen. People often wonder if we're living in the end times. According to the Bible, the last days began 2,000 years ago at Pentecost. That means every generation of Christians should be prepared for Jesus to come back. The Bible is full of future predictions, 735 of them. That means in every 4 chapters you'll find a prediction. The Bible, from start to finish, is filled with prophecies, and some parts talk about the future more than others. Out of 735 future events the Bible talked about, 596 have already happened just like it said they would. That means 81% of these Bible predictions have come true, even the ones made hundreds of years before. It's pretty convincing to think the last 19% will happen too. So far, the Bible has been spot on with every event that was supposed to happen up to now. The predictions left mostly talk about Jesus coming back and what's going to happen next. We're looking out for about 20 more signs that need to happen before we can expect Jesus to return. Jesus told us to keep watch and pray. But watching doesn't mean just looking at the sky waiting for him. He meant we should pay attention to the world around us and look for the specific signs he told us about to get ready. These signs are the clues we're supposed to look for. In Matthew chapter 24, Jesus' friends asked him, "How will we know when you're coming back? What if we miss it?" Jesus gave them a clear answer, which is awesome because it helps us understand what to look out for. He listed the big signs that mean he's about to return. They asked him this question quietly while they were hanging out on the Mount of Olives. Matthew 24 verses 3 to 36. As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. "Tell us," they said, "when will this happen, and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming, 'I am the Messiah,' and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me. At that time many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. So when you see standing in the holy place the abomination that causes desolation, spoken of through the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down to take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back to get their cloak. How dreadful it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath. For then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect those days will be shortened. At that time if anyone says to you, 'Look, here is the Messiah,' or 'There he is,' do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you ahead of time. So if anyone tells you, 'There he is, out in the wilderness,' do not go out, or 'Here he is in the inner rooms,' do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever there is a carcass, there the vultures will gather. Immediately after the distress of those days the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then all the peoples of the earth will mourn when they see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. In that part of the story, Jesus talked about 4 big clues that show he's about to come back. So what are them? Let's break it down. First, Jesus said there would be a lot of scary stuff happening around us, like wars, not enough food for people, famines, and big shakes, earthquakes. These things have been happening for a long, long time, but they're getting worse. We're already seeing this sign. Jesus keeps telling us, don't be tricked, especially when things get really bad closer to the end. He warned us about people pretending to be heroes or even saying they're him, the Messiah, trying to trick us during these tough times. There have been stories about people claiming to be saviors, leading folks to disaster. But Jesus said something really important. Even though these events are scary, they're not the end of everything. They're more like the hard pains before something new and good is born. So, when we hear about these bad things in the news, it's like the world is getting ready for something much better. This means we shouldn't freak out or feel hopeless when we see these things happening. Sure, we feel bad for those who are hurt and we try to help, but we also keep hope. We're waiting for a brand new world to start. So, Jesus' big message to us is, don't lose your cool or get too worried. Actually, we can even feel a bit excited because all these signs mean something awesome is about to happen. The second big hint that Jesus is on his way back isn't about the bad stuff happening around us, but about what's going on in the church itself. While troubles in the world are the first clue, what happens in the church is the second big sign. Jesus told us to watch for 2 big hints that he's coming back. The first hint is about scary events in the world. The second hint, big changes happening inside the church. Just like the first hint has parts about wars, shakes, and not enough food, the second hint is also split into 3 parts, all happening within the church. Here's what Jesus said to expect in the church. Persecution. First, Jesus said believers would face tough times. People all over the world won't like us much. That sounds pretty hard, right? Church getting smaller. Because things get so tough, lots of people who only kind of believed will stop believing. Their hearts will cool off. Imagine a crowded room slowly emptying out until only a few are left. That's the picture Jesus paints for us. Good news for everyone. Now, here comes a twist. Even though the church seems smaller, its message will spread far and wide, reaching every corner of the world. A smaller, more dedicated group of believers will make a huge splash, telling everyone about Jesus. But there's a catch. False prophets will try to trick us. They'll say everything's okay, don't worry, even when it's not. They're like the people who see a storm coming but tell everyone it's sunny. Jesus wants us to be smart, to listen, and not be fooled. So, while some parts sound a bit scary, there's also a lot of hope. It means we're doing important work, even when it's hard. And that's what Jesus is getting at. Jesus tells us to keep strong and not listen to people who try to trick us with false promises. He says that if we stick it out to the end, we're going to make it. When the world doesn't like us because of what we believe, Jesus wants us to remember his words and keep moving forward. Why is it like this? Well, Jesus explains it by talking about wheat and weeds growing together. As they both get closer to being fully grown, it's easier to see the difference between them. This means Christians, who are like the wheat, will naturally feel out of place as the end gets closer. We're not going to fit in because we live by different rules, heavenly ones. Jesus was the most unique of all, and because he was so different, he faced a lot of hate. He's letting us know that being different for the right reasons is okay, even if it means facing tough times. John 15 verse 19. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you. The third clue focuses on trouble in Jerusalem. This part of the prediction isn't about the whole world, but specifically about one city. In this bit, Jesus talks about something from the prophecies of Daniel called the abomination of desolation. Daniel brings this up 3 times in his writings, but what's it really about? This refers to a person, a man who will put himself in God's city, Jerusalem, and claim to be God. He won't listen to anyone else and will only do what he wants. A real bad guy whose actions will affect the whole world, even though he'll be in Jerusalem. This city, which is so important to many people for many reasons, will be at the center of these major events. The 4th sign will happen right after the 3rd and will be obvious about when he will come back. When this 4th clue happens, we won't have to worry about being tricked by fake messiahs or false prophets. Everything will happen so fast. All of a sudden, it'll be like someone turned off all the lights in the sky. The sun will go dark, and stars will seem to fall from the sky. This isn't a new idea. It's mentioned throughout the Bible. Isaiah talked about how the sky will fold up like a scroll and all the stars will fade away, just like leaves fall from trees or dry up on a vine. So we'll be left in darkness, with only man-made lights to see by. People will be asking, what's going on? But Christians will know the answer. This is it. This is when the sun, stars, and moon stop giving their light. And just before this big moment, God will turn off the universe's lights to get ready for an even bigger light show, the lightning that comes with Jesus returning. Then, Jesus will come back to earth, riding on the clouds, and that's when we'll meet him. We won't be gathering on the ground for a big meeting because there's no place big enough on earth for such a huge group. Instead, we'll meet Jesus up in the sky. How amazing is that? When you start seeing these signs happening, it's like Jesus is right at the door, ready to come in. Then Jesus talks about a fig tree to make a point. But here's where some people get mixed up. He says, now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Jesus is using this as a simple way to show us that when we see these signs, it's like saying summer's on its way. This fig tree thing isn't some deep, hidden message. It's a clear example from real life, the kind Jesus liked to use in his teachings. You see the fig tree sprouting leaves and think, yep, summer's close. And it's the same with these signs Jesus told us about. When we see them, we can be sure the time is close. Unfortunately, some people have misunderstood this and thought it was only a metaphor. Check our playlist for more videos. Thanks for watching.